And, good afternoon. Welcome to 3 Bring another video. And, good afternoon. Welcome to 3 Bring another video. And, good afternoon. Welcome to 3 Bring another video. Alright, good evening. Welcome to bringing another video. This time here we're doing a review of Airpods, but this review is actually going to be a little bit different. Because this is a review of an old review, but new again. Okay, a lot of people, when you're early adopters of a product and everything else now this is something that I didn't film before when I originally got the Airpods. I got them, and they were actually for my son and my wife, because I don't have an iPod, but sorry, not an iPad, and everything else But I know this was like one of the best headphones or earphones, or however you want to call it, that you can literally get. So what happened was that literally I bought a set for one of my kids, actually for two of my kids and my wife. And, this, when it was the first thing out, first newest thing, and these things were the greatest things since sliced bread. You really had to be, I just want to show the picture of the, it's part of, what I'm showing you right now is the picture of the things of the event, because I don't have my webcam up and everything like that. But when you first got these things, it was not just the best. This is Apple we're talking about. They were futuristic. These things fit in your ear perfectly and everything else. That sound great. Cost expensive because, again, it's an Apple product and everything else. But this is something that you would like to say, okay, well, if you're going to put out some money for something that has great quality and they're earbuds, you have the things that you can, the big honking ones. And I do have some Sonos headphones for my wife, but she wanted something that she can go when she's going out walking and everything else that she can hear plainly and everything else and hear the sound around her. Okay, so we got a set for her and everything else got a set for the kids. Because we want to be early. I was hip, early adopters, and I can afford certain things as gifts. Not a lot, but this was something that I really spurred for, because I wanted this to be something that they would enjoy for a good long period of time. So, when we got these things and everything else you already know that these are non-serviceable. You're not replacing batteries inside this. You're not changing anything on this. They work until they don't. You recharge them and everything else, but it's not like anything that recharges. You only have a finite recharging cycle, meaning that you can only recharge it for so long. You can only recharge it for so long. So, it was one of the things that you got to get one of these for for your spouse, for everybody else like that you can afford it for, and it made a good presence. So again, years of enjoyment, things were going perfectly with them and everything else and then things started to happen with them. You couldn't. They wouldn't last. They weren't lasting as long as they were originally and everything else now, don't get me wrong. The sound still great, perfect, crisp, everything that you would literally want in headphones. But they weren't lasting as long. So, she would recharge them. My wife, again, I'm going by my wife because if kids are younger, they tend to mess these things up. So therefore, I'm going from my wife's perspective on these. So she would charge them up, go for a walk, go for her doing her stuff around the house, and then all of a sudden they're dead. She's like, okay, well, these things ain't lasting as long. And, you didn't really think about it, because it's like, okay, well, you always ask the same question. Well, did you charge them the way you normally did? Did you put them in the same thing? Things like that. But after a period of time, when you start hearing the same complaint, that's why I'm doing this review on here. It's like that. You have to ask yourself, when does it become diminishing returns? When do you have to go out and spend for a new set of these? And again, they're not cheap by any means and everything else. And I have to ask myself a question. Okay, would I spend money to replace 3 sets of these? Because again, my wife and 2 of my kids have this and everything else. And the answer to that question is, well, for my wife, of course, yes. I mean, this is a person that's going to take care of it. She's going to use it when she needs to and everything else like that. So everything is great and everything else like that. But for my kids, the answer would be, well, no. Because they're younger. They're not as responsible. They're not going to sit there and take care of it. Now, they haven't lost them. And that's because we got the little things that you attach to it that it has like I call it a rope that attaches to you so when they come off the neck, they just let them flop down and they fall over. I know at this point of wireless is so that you don't feel them at all, but yeah, again, we're talking about kids here. So, now the question is, so that why would they make it so that you couldn't replace the batteries in these things? Now I know everything nowadays is disposable. You get it, lasts for a little bit, and you get rid of it. Which, again, for certain things that makes sense. But for something that's actually still has the quality sound to it, not just quality sound, the excellent sound to it, why would I have to spend basically the whole lot chunk of change for the same thing? Now, again, I love Apple products and stuff like that. My son still has the iPads we have are older and everything else, so that we're not the type of family, or let me rephrase that. I don't have that kind of money to, every new generation to replace a piece of equipment. For us, once we buy it, that's why we buy stuff for quality. If it's working, if it's doing what it's supposed to do until it's broken, messed up, we don't replace it. So this is one of the things that, again, it sounds great. It's still, feels like it's, when you listen to it, you're like, oh my God, the sound is magnificent. But you just don't get that sound for as long. So, every time you charge these things, like any rechargeable battery, it has a number of recharges before they die a little faster and everything else like that. But you would figure that they would have made a way for the customers to replace the battery. It's not like the battery inside is going to be so massive and big like on a laptop, where it's, okay, you're in danger of basically blowing up in your ear because the battery pack is so big and it's going to catch fire. These are small little things that, the likelihood that a customer would screw it up if you make it so they can replace the battery inside it is like, the worst thing that can happen is, they pop it open and break it. And then from there, okay, well, you took your chances. You have to replace it. But in this case here, you made it, so that you can't fix it. It's done. Right now, so that, see, we're at the point right now to buy a new set and donate it to one of the younger kids, again, my wife's version, so because they don't use it as long as they can deal with it only working for a half hour, because by then they'll be done, ran off and did something else and everything else, and then they can throw it back on the charger and keep on going. But what do you guys think? I mean, do you think this is something that you should keep like this, where you can replace it, everything else of that? Again, if something I can see if it's something that's trashy, they're a dime a dozen that you have for 5 minutes and you replace it and it's gone. But in this case here, I think Apple's really missed the train on this one here. I mean, I know now a lot of their products now, they don't want you to replace it, but still, I would even pay Apple money to, replace the battery inside of it at a reasonable price instead of buying a new one. But that's neither here nor there. So, guys, tell me what you'll think about it. Leave in the comments what you'll think about the iPads and everything else. If you have a set, let me know how long did yours last. But this is Warp 3 saying warp out, have fun, catch you on the next one. Please hit that like, subscribe button. It really would help the channel out. Until then, we'll catch you later.